Hey guys, this is Vicious Vicki Venuto, and you are watching the Fans View podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fans View podcast. On this week's episode, man, we have somebody who embodies resilience, authenticity, and just being a beautiful badass. Miss Vicious Vicki Venuto is joining us on the show. Vicki, how are you doing today?
I'm great. What a great introduction. That's amazing. I'll take
Hey,
it.
hey, us Jersey kids, we got to look out for each other, right?
Heck yeah, man. Absolutely.
We're gonna jump right into it because I don't know what other way to start it. Obviously, people maybe they've been living under a rock, or they're not in the Northeast. They're not quite sure who Vicious Vicky is. You got some shine here recently from this guy named John Cena. You might have heard of him. Um, what did that
Possibly.
mean to you? You know, that moment when he reached out to you and kind of acknowledged your story, not just you as a wrestler, you as a human being.
Yeah, it was literally the coolest thing that I think has ever happened to me. And I've done some cool stuff in wrestling and I've seen some things. But for me, as a person who, you know, takes many pages out of his book as a human and a professional, and to be recognized by him 2 days before he's set to retire and never wrestle again. It was insane to me that he took the time to do that. I had put this love letter out there with the intention of, I had seen, I'm very open about everything because that's me, that's how I roll. But when Bailey had done that seminar, and me and countless other indie talent had put in for it, and a little bummed he didn't get picked, but that's the name of the game. It's just how wrestling is. You just keep trucking and move on. A lot of girls that I know or have shared the ring with were there, and it was like so cool to see that experience. And then I had seen that John Cena had went there, and devoted some of his time to these girls, and really, honing the craft with him for like 8 hours or whatever it was. And I was like,
Nice.
damn, like it just hit me. I was very jealous in a supportive way, but I was damn, man, like what I would have done to have 8 hours in a ring with John Cena, like just oh, I would do anything for that. And it just made me realize, like, he's in his finality right now. Like, I might not run into him again. When I'm, lucky to be chosen as an extra and I get to go backstage and be back there, I have ran into him so many times, and this was the last one,
Right.
and seeing him with those girls, I was like, man, like I'm gonna be there Saturday. I'm very excited that I was booked for that. I'm like, but in case I can't ever tell this man like how he impacted my life, I need to just put this out there. And I know I can't DM him or whatever. Like it needs to get to him, needs to reach him. And I had actually written the piece for my boyfriend's website, and we all did like a thank you John Cena kind of tribute goodbye. And I'm like, this needs to be out there. I was like, I it really was from the heart. Like I really meant every word. And I would say 24 hours later, it blew up for me. It was like at like 10K or 5K or whatever it was, like likes. And I'm like, oh my God. And then like I'm just sitting there and I just saw John Cena and I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God. And what he said was so genuine and real. And then fast forward 2 days later, and I'm standing backstage, and a lot of the extras that were there with me were so supportive of, like, Vicky, you just missed him. Vicky, you just missed, and we don't do that backstage. You don't act like
Right.
that, and it's not a matter of being a professional or what. It's just a matter of thanking this man. Like, how do I was on the air, busted open, and Bully had said the same thing. Like, you have to talk to him. You can't
Right.
you can't not do it. So I missed him twice going down the hallway. I'm like, you know what? I was like, I'm just gonna stand here, and it was two of the other extras that I know, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna stand here because you guys seemingly keep bumping into him. I'm just gonna stand right here, and I did in 5 minutes, not even. I saw him walking. I was like, "Is that him?" They're like, "Do it, do it, do it." I'm like, "Ah!" So he walked past me, and I just stuck my hand out because he always says hello. Always says hello to. If he missed you in passing, like he would have done it anyway.
Right.
And he's, this is his retirement night. He doesn't need to. He doesn't owe me anything, And he shook his. He put his hand down. I was like, "Thank you so much for reposting that." And he was like, "That was you? No shit." And he hugged me, and it was just like such a great moment. He's like, "I'm so happy you're here. 10 years, wow, that's amazing." He's like, What you wrote, it really brought me to tears. It really touched me." And I'm just like, "Oh my god," and I was like, "Thank you for everything." I don't even know what I could say. I said it all, in the letter. And then he's like, "Do you want to get a picture?" And I'm like, "Yes." Um, so for me, and it's almost like he knows with extras, it's very, you have to be careful and professional, of course. But like, I was like, when the goat asks, "Do you want to take a picture?" You're taking the freaking picture, okay? And you're posting it. I was like, "I'm sorry." I was like, I got all these legends signing off on it. Like, do it. I'm like, okay. Because back in the day, it was like very frowned upon, and
Right.
now I'm glad with this new era in wrestling, we can appreciate those people that came before us because, I'm a big like Hardy fan and Lita fan, right? And I've met them and I've got to tell them how I feel. I got to be in the locker room with the Hardys. I love Matt. They've given back to me too. And John Cena was my Mount Rushmore. He's one of those people, and to be able to have that moment with the last one, man, he was my, after the Hardys, it was John Cena for me because it was a couple years after, and
Right.
that was a beautiful moment. Like you can't write it. It's like it's better than a fairy tale. Like, 12-year-old me meeting him would never have thought I'd be at his last match.
Right.
Never would have thought that, I would have came up on a milestone in my personal life, and that his words helped me through. His words legitimately helped me through. And to be able to just thank that man and hug him and just, what? You can't make it up, man. It's really, really cool. It's really cool.
I love that. And I just love the passion when you talk about it. It seems like it brings you right back there. I love that
Oh
so
yeah.
much. For anybody that even just heard that answer, that your nickname is Vicious and your presence is vicious in the ring. But when people hear you speak, there's a depth, a vulnerability, an authenticity there. How do you kind of balance that intensity with the authenticity?
Yeah, great question. So for me, I've always been about being a realist, right? And being called Vicious Vicky doesn't necessarily mean that I have to be this big bad heel. Like I have been, and I can be, and I'm pretty good at it. But my story is that of a hero and a warrior and someone who, I can do what I have to do to win, essentially, right?
Right.
And I've been through the depths of hell and back, and I've been able to still chase a dream. So I feel like for me, I use my real life and my real life struggles and adversity and just that overcoming nature of me. And I'm able to put that in the ring, and it
Right.
all correlates to wrestling. And at the end of the day, like Vicious Vicky will give you her heart and like the wrestler too. Like she doesn't want to hurt you, but if you mess with her,
Gotta do what you
it's
gotta
not going to
do.
be pretty for you because all of that pent up frustration, all that pent up stuff that I've been through, it comes out in the ring, and that's what makes it vicious. That's what makes it so unique. I find myself to be a little bit more unique than some people because I feel that I have traits about me that, like I said, they always tell you like, be you with the volume turned up. That's always
Right.
we were taught,
Exactly.
and for me, I am that. Like I am the walking embodiment of that. And I feel like, in professional wrestling, you're it is hard sometimes to put your personal life and your professional life and separate them. It's very hard when someone like me, my whole life is wrestling. So
Right.
it's really hard to separate the two, but I think I've done a pretty good job at it.
You just touched on what I was going to ask you next, and that's that. You've always kind of been very upfront that your character is rooted in real life. It's just Vicky turned up to 11. How important is it for you, for fans to see that person, behind the curtain, beyond the ring? Like, how important is that to you?
It is very important, and I love that question because I think this is why, my niche of a fan base, I think this is why they love me so much. And even when I'm a
Yes.
bad guy, and even when I'm that nasty heel, they are still cheering for me. And I think I have something special, and I think that's why I'm so adamant and eager to be signed somewhere, because I feel if I can share this story and this person, thank you John Cena for getting it out there, if I could share some of that's just some of the story with the fans, it's a built-in reason for them to cheer for me.
For
And
sure.
I think being vulnerable and being able to share, stories that most people would be afraid to share with the public, it makes people connect to me.
Yep.
The little girls, they connect to me because they could see that I'm this badass chick, but I'm signing autographs and taking my time and kissing them before, like it's so just little things. And then when you see an adult, a grown man or a grown woman, they're like, damn, Vicky's awesome. And that's what I want. I don't just do it to necessarily get over. I do it because I feel like it's just humane, and I want to be a good person.
Yes.
I really want to be a good person. I've been through so much bad. I've seen a lot of bad in professional wrestling. My first year or two, like I was like, what is this crap? Like just how people turn on you and this and that. It's crazy. It's a circus. But I have the passion for pro wrestling where I genuinely love it. It's my life. And to be able to, have fans, whether they come in there and they boo me. I mean, I've had like pulling the curtain back. I have literally have fans boo Vicky and they're like, it's all, but it's awesome, because I don't know how to, when a kid comes up to me and asks for an autograph, I don't know how to keep that on anymore. When
Right.
I first started wrestling, I was able to kind of like be that old school heel where like I didn't go out for autographs, I didn't do any of that. Now I go out there and I'm just like, how? Like I'm very like pro kid, like I don't know, but I'll go on and on. But yeah.
Oh no, no, I love it, and I agree with you that that is one thing that separates you is you're willing to be Vicky and just warts and all. Here it is, and if you like it, you like it, and it helps solidify that bond with the fans.
For sure.
One thing that stands out about you is, again, you've been very open about mental health and your personal struggles. Obviously, like you said, when you wrote that open letter to Cena, you had just celebrated 10 years being sober of opiates and drugs, and you were clean and on the right path. You know, especially in a business that doesn't always encourage vulnerability. Why was it important for you to be so upfront and so honest? Like I said, warts and all, here it is.
Yeah. For me, it's all about, you know, as a wrestler, right? We have fans there and we perform for them and they feel something, they're happy, whether they're escaping from something, they're able to come and watch me and others perform. And it's a joy for them. It's something that they're investing their money in because they want to be a part of it. They want to watch their superheroes essentially.
Yes.
For me, I feel like everybody has a story and everybody has a backstory. And I know that a lot of people are afraid to face demons. They're afraid to speak out. They're afraid to admit they have a problem if they do or don't, whatever the case may be. So I feel like, as someone who is that superhero to people, I want to show people that, like, hey, I'm a superhero and I am able to admit that I have faults, that I have problems, that I have mental health issues, anxiety, that I have all these things. And I get through it and I'm still able to perform at a high level for you and be there for you. So I almost want to spread a message of, I want these people to be there for themselves and then for their others and their loved ones, and I just know that seeing a cool person such as myself be able to navigate those things daily, it helps so many people. And I've had people come up to me personally, fans constantly, and I welcome it. I always tell people, like, DM me
Yeah.
and constantly welcome it, and people all the time. And there's nothing better than that. All the time, Vicky, what you said helped me so much, or Vicky, I read this and it helped me so much. And I'm just like, what's better than that? Like, I want to be signed. I feel like I've earned it at this point. I feel like I could give so much to this business in a good way. But if that doesn't work out, like, I truly, truly mean this in my heart, like, to know that I've helped people in some way, it, it's awesome. And you can't ask for anything better than that.
I'd
Hey,
love that.
you. Yeah, watching this right now. I see you. If you're enjoying what you're watching, I've got one quick favor to ask, and it only takes a second, costs you nothing, and makes a huge difference. If you could go ahead and hit that like button, maybe drop a comment. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Doesn't seem like much, but for small creators, it's everything. So let's help more people find this channel and keep the content coming. And honestly, I'm pretty sure the podcast will be really grateful. So if you're having fun, you like what you see, make it official, click those buttons. And the Fans View podcast, we'll see you next time.
That openness, I think, has become part of your legacy just as much, if not more, than your in-ring, work. So just hats off to you for that.
Thank you.
To kind of talk about, the in-ring stuff a little bit, you have held championships in multiple promotions. We could do the acronym game if you want to, but we'll throw out TCW, ISPW, WOW, PWF, all the acronyms.
Yep.
Titles aside, what moments stand out to you the most? And I know that's a loaded question and that's a tough question, but are there any moments that just immediately snap in your head?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when the first couple years I was on the indies, I had like 6 or 7 belts at one point. So I was kind of doing the real weekend warrior trip. Like I was triple shotting, double shotting. Like I was in 3 places in one night. Like it was insane. Um, but the thing for me is just like pretty much knowing that all of those moments and all of those, that hard work is like paying off in some way when I'm able to be on like a TNA.
Right.
Um, ISPW, shout out Tommy Fierro. He's been there for me through everything since day one. And ISPW is my home, 6-time women's champion. I am the John Cena of ISPW essentially,
Love it.
like, or the Hogan. So it's my home promotion. It's the most I've ever felt. So I would say, being able to hold that title, being the inaugural ISPW women's champion, a 6-time, and being able to like really like carry that banner on my back and be the face and like be trusted.
Yeah, for sure. You've had some intense rivalries. I don't know if you've noticed or not. People that come to mind, Gabby Ortiz, Chris Steeler, the notorious Mimi, matches that felt physical and personal.
Yes.
Which feud do you think really shaped you as a performer?
Yeah, great question. So with Mimi, I'll actually be wrestling her Saturday, at Three Legacies Wrestling. It'll be for the Bell to Bell Diamond Championship. This will be like probably like our 100th match against each other.
And you'll
Me and
beat the hell
Mimi,
out of each other again.
yes, me and Mimi came up together. So we literally came up together. And it was really cool to see her get signed to NXT so young when she did, and to see her doing her thing. She's evolved so much since. I'm very proud of her. But yeah, I think for me it's more so like just the people that you're in the ring with, especially like someone like a Mimi where you're like wrestling them all the time and you kind of know each other. You're able
Right.
to also try new things with each other because you trust each other. Gabby Ortiz is one of my besties in the business. She is definitely the Trish to my Lita. Like she's my girl, and me and her too. Like being in the ring with people that you trust is so important. And I know that you're gonna have times where like we're thrown new people, and that's good. We want that. I trust me. I was like, I want to wrestle all the new people in 2026. Give me everyone. But it's good to have trust. You have to trust your dance partner. With Chris Steeler, I actually, fun fact, had known him on the indies when he was first up and coming, and I was like 11 or 12 years old on the
Wow.
indies watching him wrestle. So for me, when we had that feud, it was cool to one, take the No Limits championship off of him, but also be able to have that full circle moment of like, hey, I watched you growing up, now I'm wrestling you, and now I'm beating you. So shout out to him, speedy recovery. I know he's dealing with some stuff right now. But yeah, it, God, the list goes on,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
it's those are 3 good ones.
Absolutely. And you spoke on it earlier. You've stepped onto some bigger platforms. You've done extra work for WWE, for TNA. You've done a lot of work. When you look at those moments, do they feel like checkpoints, or are they just motivation for what's next?
Definitely motivation for what's next. I can tell you that, and I'm sure a lot of other indie wrestlers can agree with me on this. When you're there, and often enough, it becomes a little frustrating. And I'm very grateful, and everyone who knows me knows I'm very grateful, for every single opportunity I've ever been given. I little me is very happy and grateful and just doing flips in my head. But when you're there and it's just kind of like dangling in front of you and like you just, you can't get it. It's like, okay, well, I'm used, I'm trusted, I'm brought back on, multiple promotions. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, like I want someone to give me the meat and potatoes and tell me like what more do I have to do? Like
Right.
this many years in, this is my skill set, totally can be improved, no questions asked. Me, I'm selfish and I want the best training in the world. I would love to go to NXT and be in the developmental for a little bit. I know that I'll pick it up quick, but that's what I want for myself. I would love that. I don't need to be on
Right.
TV right away. I want to go and be the best and train me to be the best. Then they'll be like, "Oh, this was a good hire." But that's my mindset, and I know that, and I'm not saying that in a conceited way. I mean it because I have so much passion and love for it that I would do anything I could to make it the best.
Yeah,
Um, so essentially, in a nutshell, what I mean is, it's just when you're there so much, it makes you want it more, for
for
sure.
sure. For sure. You know, as we start to look ahead into 2026, yeah, and not in a sense of like promotions or contracts or anything like that, but at the independent level, and not everybody understands that wrestling isn't glitzy and glamorous. Like, you're putting in the miles, you're like you said, a weekend warrior. You're state to state, city to city for little money,
Yes,
relatively speaking.
yes.
What? Why still grind it out like you are right now? What drives you now more than anything else?
Great question. So I, like, 7 years in, been doing this 7 years nonstop, no breaks. I think COVID gave us some breaks, but that was really it. And for me and my personal journey, I've been watching wrestling since I was 4. Long, long time. I've always wanted to be a pro wrestler. That's my story. I didn't just stumble into it or whatever. Like, this is what I've always wanted to do. And I feel like for me and my story, it's one of those things where I'm scared. I am terrified to quit because I feel like I know I can do it and I know I can make it and I know I can hang on television and I know I can be in that bracket of people that, like, 20 years from now will go, "Oh, she's one of the best of all time," because I have
Hell
all the
yeah.
makings of that superstar. I might not be doing moonsaults and backflips and dips, whatever, but that, to me, that's not professional wrestling. Don't get me wrong. Lita was one of my favorite wrestlers. Hardys are my favorite wrestlers. So I love making that joke because I'm not doing that stuff. That's what I loved growing up. But I loved a John Cena, like someone who can tell me a story, who can make me feel, who can make me connect, and I want to be a part of it. And but can also wrestle pretty damn good. So for me, it's more of that. I am scared to let down 12-year-old me. I'm scared to let down 4-year-old me. I'm scared that if I walk away, I'm not going to make it. And then what? And that sounds awful because I have so much good in my real life, and
Right.
so many great things to look forward to and whatever. But if I walk away, then that's it. And for me, I don't want it to be it. I almost feel like I keep telling myself every year, all right, one more year, and like it's just never happening. I'm just like, ah, like, I feel closer now than I ever did. I feel even more closer than I ever did. I
For
have
sure.
all the right people in my corner. Shout out to Busted Open and La Greca and Bully Ray and all these people who just constantly, like, really, they put me over, and they don't have to do that, and I appreciate it. These are people who, they're not gonna lie. Like, I'm very grateful to Tommy Dreamer for bringing me into TNA when he could, and when they're around and giving me an opportunity, and just, I'm very grateful. But it's hard, and it's very hard. It's expensive. It's exhausting. And to think that I would do all that for nothing. But then I have to sit back and go, okay, obviously I want to make it, but I didn't do it for nothing. What about the
Right.
little girl whose day you made for a month? What about the little girl who dressed up as you for Halloween? What about, the 40-year-old man who said, "Hey, like, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be sober right now." Like, what's better than that? And that's what I have to remind myself is, like, whenever I get in my feelings or sad or feeling like I'm not going to make it or amount to anything, like I did, and I have to remember that. It's
Right.
a very tough thing to be in, especially when it's a very selfish business.
Right.
But it's just one of those things I just have to remind myself that daily, that I do something for the good being a wrestler.
Yeah, and I mean it's almost like the cliche. It's not always the destination, it's the journey. But hey, cliches are cliches for a
Yeah,
reason.
for sure.
You've put him over a couple times, and I'd be crazy if I let you get out of here without asking you. You were actually able to attend the Busties, the
Yes.
magnificent Busties this year. How was that experience?
Yes, no, it was awesome. Anytime that LaGreca does anything, I do try to be a part of it. He's given back to me so much. I can't say anything better. He's a very good friend. But everyone at Busted Open has been wonderful, and I had to support them, and I'm glad that I was able to be there and have a good time and whatnot. It was really cool. And the
I
random iced tea pop in, I was like, is this really happening right now? Awesome. Can't make it up.
I love it. I love Dave so much. He's like that
Yes.
just psychotic uncle that you have to put away in the closet for most of the
Yes.
year because
Yes.
he's gloriously out of his mind.
He's the best ever.
As we kind of start to round this thing out, I have to hit you with my two favorite questions. I have to ask everyone these two things. One being, obviously this is the Fans View podcast. So what are you a fan of outside of professional wrestling?
Oh, I love that you asked that because it's so hard to answer because like it's just my life. But we'll do music because
Okay.
that's my thing too. So I'm a huge Linkin Park fan.
Okay.
Like big time Linkin Park fan. I got like Chester's little, flame tattoos on me and whatever. Huge Linkin Park fan. So that's one. And then I am a Yankees fan, but unfortunately they've just not been doing great. So we don't want to talk about that. So baseball, I do love baseball. I played softball for 20 years or 20 however long time. I played all types of leagues and stuff. So
I
yeah.
love it. I love it. And last but not least, and I know you're going to kill this question. How do you not only, at this stage, you're still a very young woman in the scheme of things. In the business, you're still a young woman. How do you, at this stage, not just of your career, but of life, how do you define success?
Great question. I feel like success is defined on what you do with your life, right? So like for me, yes, I want the contract. I want, my finances to be in order. I want to make people happy. I want to be the best of the best. But at the end of the day, it kind of goes hand in hand with what I was saying to you earlier. Like success for me and Vicious Vicky is, like I said, the little girl in the front row, like cheering me on and dressing like me. Like the little girl, saying she wants to be a pro wrestler and she's doing it because of me. The 40, 50-year-old guy telling me I helped him get sober and I didn't even meet him, like I just gave him some words of encouragement. People looking up to me and being a role model. And sometimes that position can be, overwhelming, but to me, that's success. Helping people, being a role model for people, and like being able to love the life that I live, even if I don't get what I want. Because to me, that's just selfish. And I feel like I'm already successful. And it's just very hard to not, like I said, to think of what you could be versus what you really are.
Absolutely. Your outlook is just unreal. It's infectious, honestly, it really is.
I've been
Um
through a lot of stuff, so I have to do this right.
you've been through it, and we appreciate you coming on it. And like I
Of
said,
course.
being so open about it. Some people would not. Let's not talk about that. Let's bury that part. Let's just talk about wrestling. But we got on here, and you were like, whatever, ask me anything. Let's
I
do it.
feel like the cookie cutter, answers. And I'm not a celebrity, but I want to say a public figure,
Yeah.
right? Someone who tries to portray a specific image. The image is me. The image is me. Like and I can't lie. I can't put up a facade and be like, I am perfect. I'm not. But again, that's why people resonate with me. And the fandom that I have with people is so genuine and authentic because I am putting out these love letters to John Cena and I am, celebrating milestones and I'm letting people know like, hey, like you're not alone. And like if I can, you know, all these demons and things that I've been through, if I can come out on top and still attempt to chase my dream, like anything's possible. If I can do it, you can do it. And that's my motto.
Hell yeah. I love that so much. Vicky, you are an absolute gem. Thank you so much for giving us some time today.
Of
Before
course,
I let
man.
you go, we got to let people know where to find you online. Do you have you sell t-shirts or 8x10s anywhere? Just give everybody all the info.
Yes, so I do have a pro wrestling tees store. It's just Vicious Vicky. Just it'll come up. Instagram at Vicious Vicki Venuto. I do have a show coming up. I already plugged it, but Saturday the 27th at Three Legacies Wrestling. And then my Twitter is at Vicious Vicky. There's like some underscores in there, but you'll find me.
I love it. Guys, make sure to go give Vicky some love. If you got the means, go buy a t-shirt, go support her monetarily. If not, follow her on social media. It's free.
I'll
It
take
will
a photo.
it will cost you nothing. And she's so interactive with the fans. If you DM her, she will reply. It's wild. But Vicky, again, thank you so much. I feel like we could go like another hour. So
Yeah.
hopefully this will be the first time you're on, of many. Hopefully
Yes.
you'll be a regular like you are on Busted Open.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm always down.
At a much smaller scale.
That's okay. That's
Well,
okay.
we love you, Vicky. We appreciate you. Like I said, guys, go support Vicky any way you can. And don't forget, most importantly, guys, don't forget to call your mom.
If you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.